Hi, I'm Sherry. I'm a junior here at Northview High School, and probably one of my favorite books that I've read over the years in high school is this book by John Krakauer. It's called Into Thin Air, and it's probably the lesser known of his novels compared to Into the Wild, which, if you haven't read, you've probably heard of. This, though, is entirely different. While that one was sort of account on another person's life and journey, this one is entirely from his perspective. It's his personal expedition to Mount Everest, and it just so happened to coincide with the May 10, 1996 disaster. So, one of the things that's interesting about him as an author is that he has a background as a journalist. So, you can sort of tell by his attention to detail throughout the entire book that he really pays attention to these details, and it helps to develop not only the circumstances but also the characters around him. So, one of the things he implements by the first chapter is this feeling of suspense. He almost imposes this dramatic irony to hold the audience in suspense for pretty much most of the book until the actual disaster strikes, which isn't until the latter half of the book. And by the end of the first chapter, he tells flat out that something bad is going to happen. And so while you're reading the book, you're already growing attached to the characters, but then by the end, everything bad happens. So here's the last paragraph of the first chapter. This is after he's detailed like that specific moment. 400 vertical feet above, where the summit was still washed in bright sunlight under an immaculate cobalt sky, my compadres dallied to memorialize their arrival at the apex of the planet, unfurling flags and snapping photos, using up precious ticks of the clock. None of them imagined that a horrible ordeal was drawing nigh. Nobody suspected that by the end of the day, that long day, every minute would matter. And I think that was so powerful for me, at least, especially since this wasn't a book that I was planning on picking up. It really drew me in, and I suggest everyone read it, whether you enjoy these action adventure novels or not.